have offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson. We'll go straight to questions for Coach Dawson.
Coach, what do you think of the new communication rule and how much of a one extra thing to deal with? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? We don't know yet because you haven't done it.
Yeah, I mean, you stole my answer with your second part of that. I personally like it, but I also haven't been through a game. And so I've talked to multiple NFL guys that, the worry is like, does it cut out? I mean, how consistent is it? We have obviously things in place if it does, but I don't know until I go through a game. I mean, the feedback I've gotten is like it's pretty consistent, but it does cut out at times. So, that's what I would anticipate. But again, like we're kind of in uncharted territory with that, especially at our level. So when we go through a game, there's going to be some adjustments. No different than every game one, but this one's a little bit different because there is some factors involved that are different than other years.
Primary?
What's that?
Will that be the primary form of communication on Saturday, or are you still going to?
Look, we have multiple ways, put it that way. And so, we have multiple ways to get the play in, and we're not going to rely on one system. We can't, just can't.
Coach Mario just mentioned about every stop that Cam Ward's been on, he's found ways to grow. Since he's gotten with you guys, where have you seen him grow the most?
That's a good question. I wasn't with him before, so personality-wise and everything, I mean, I'm dealing with him from when he got here till now. And so I would say he's done a really good job of incorporating within our team. This is not about one person, and that was the one thing I sold to him in recruiting was, I'll give you an opportunity to come be a part of something that I feel could be really special, and you can be surrounded by really talented guys and showcase your ability. And just conforming into our offense and to our culture is probably the biggest. I don't know if he's been a part of a culture like ours. I know I haven't before I got here. And so, you can see him through time really incorporate into our culture and embrace it, which is huge.
Obviously, you have Cam Ward, all the receivers around him, and then stable running backs. Kind of, what do you think the identity of this offense is going to be this year? What should people expect?
And hopefully, we can attack you in a lot of different ways. Being multiple is key. We're going to run the football. We're big up front. We're physical. Our running back room's talented. Our tight end room's talented. And so being able to do a lot of different things from the same personnel group is huge. And so, hopefully we can attack you in a lot of different ways at a lot of different speeds. And so that's the key.
And how does it compare to what you had at Houston? You had that 1 year where you had a lot of playmakers to work with and put up huge numbers. How does what you're going into the season with compare to that?
Offensively, we're just different than we were then. Our run game is different. I would say we're completely different up front and in those rooms. And so, really, I don't know if there's a correlation between the two other than the fact that, I had an older quarterback that was talented and with some people around him that were talented. It's probably the correlation. Other than that, I'm not sure. We still got to do it on the field, which there that year, I think we won 12 that year. We lost the first one and won like 11 straight. And so, I think that first loss that year was probably the reason why we won 11 straight, to be honest with you, because it got everybody on the same page and focus. But I don't know if there's a lot of similarities, to be honest with you. I'd have to sit down and really think about that.
The depth of the running back room, Mario this morning on radio compared it to like a baseball pitching staff.
Yes.
Starting playing up court. I would guess you would think of it as a great problem to have.
No doubt. And if you look at, what we did last year, it was really, we rolled running backs in there. Now when somebody was hot, they were hot. And, but, you look at a running back's job description and it's tough. The things that they have to do in the course of a game and in the course of a year, it can bring some wear and tear on your body. And I do think having some people that can go in and kind of share that abuse is important. And they have to pick up blitzes from linebackers that are really talented. They have to run routes and catch balls and get tackled, and they got to run about. They get hit in every different direction, which is kind of unique to their position relative to other positions, right? And so I just think it's important with running backs to share the wealth, and we have a room that there's no reason not to. You know, we have talented guys that we trust. Put them in there and let them play ball.
And Mario talked about like the late game process, time management stuff, bringing in a time management coach. How much do you guys in meetings or anything go over, you know, in X situation we do this and why we do this? How much do you guys talk about that?
A lot. You know, there's situations that come up in every practice. We work 2-minute drills, 4-minute drills throughout camp almost every day. And then we come in and we watch it and we sit there and we basically dissect every play. You know, this is where we're at. You know, should we call a timeout if it gets put in play, or do we want to call a play fast? So every play has some type of just banter back and forth. And it happens every time we do those series, which we do them, you know, almost every day we're in pads throughout camp. So to answer your question, a lot.
And then when it comes to, you know, you talked about the like the communication and everything. Obviously, it's going to be deafening in the swamp on Saturday. Just how do you? Is there anything you can do to prepare for that? You know, 100%.
I mean, we do the things that we've always done to prepare. You know, we use crowd noise and all the rest, but I don't think anything, you know, prepares you for the actual environment. The game's going to have to settle in. We know that, and no different than every first game. But this one's different because where we're playing and who we're playing, we all understand that. And so we've prepared, you know, as good as we can for that environment. Ultimately, we have to go in there, especially as an offense, because offense has to deal with the crowd noise a little bit different than defense, especially away. And so blocking out the things you can't control are huge. You know, I mean, if you let those things dictate your play and dictate your communication, then you can struggle. And so blocking out those things are vitally important on the road, and we've preached that for a while.
To the point where you just said, because of the opponent, because of the location, it is difficult. It's not fair to ask about ancient history, but Miami and Florida State used to play a lot of Week 1 games. And if you won it, man, you were set up. And if you lost it, well, you were a terrible football team. And Miami hasn't always done well with handling expectation and noise and all of that. How is this group handled?
So far, they've handled it well. I'll tell you at about 7 o'clock on Saturday how they handle it, right? I mean, I'm not a psychic by any stretch, but I do think that
Like, they're locked in. They're doing what you guys are asking them to do.
they understand the task at hand. I mean, look, everybody does. You know, I mean, the gravity of the game everybody gets, but it's also a game. You know, it's also a game played one snap at a time. And so if you sit there and you think about the whole deal, you know, your mind can play tricks on you. And so the key is to take it one snap at a time. And if you have a snap that is the greatest executed snap ever, you move on to the next one with a clear mind. And if you have a snap that's the worst executed snap ever, you move on to the next one with a clear mind. And if you can do that and you can just stack them over and over again, that's how you take crowds out and that's how you execute.
Gators defenses, what are your initial thoughts on them?
Very talented group that's played a ton of snaps. I mean, you look at, like, I'm looking at their D-line, just their D-line, over 1,000 snaps within 3 guys. You know, Shamar's played, 400 snaps. You know, the safety played in the national championship game that transferred in. I mean, he's played a ton of snaps. They have a lot of experience. And so, and they're big, they're physical and fast. I mean, look, they're a good football team.
How much of a different player is Elijah Arroyo year over year?
You know, I mean, that's a simple question because he didn't play last year, right? And so he's a very talented kid, and he's really, blossoming in everything we're doing. And so I'm excited to watch him play, to be honest with you. He's been a pleasure to be around. Great attitude, too.
Back to how did Mark Fletcher look to you during camp, especially coming off the injury, not being able to do much in spring? What did he look like to you in the fall?
Looked pretty good.
Anything else for Coach Dawson?
How much have you talked to Cam about just his experience of playing on the road, over the course of the last 4 years? What he likes to do on the road, what he doesn't like to do on the road? Just what have those conversations been like?
You mean plays or just in general?
Plays, getting ready, just anything. I'll
Yeah.
it off the field.
No, I mean, I don't really worry about that with him. He's played in a lot of big games. He's played in some venues that are tough. He understands that where we're going is going to be challenging. The more I talk to him is just about clear communication. You know, I mean, he's got to communicate everything, and it's going to be loud. We get that. But, you know, everything's got to be communicated in a certain way calmly, you know, which, you know, if we communicate with the 11 guys on the field and everybody's on the same page, feel really good. So I don't really talk to him about anything other than, you know, our offense, managing play to play, series to series, and situation to situation, really dissecting that more than anything. The other stuff, you know, that I can't control, I typically don't worry about too much, to be quite honest with you. And I can't control that.
How was Sam Brown's acclimation process during camp? Because he got here right before the start.
It's been good. I mean, he, you know, from the beginning of camp till now, he did a really good job of getting in here and learning the offense, you know, because it is a little different than when I had him at Houston. You know, we asked the receivers to do different things. It's not the same. And so there's parts of it that are, but for the majority, it's different. And so he's done a really good job of learning it and hit the ground running, you know, so it wasn't a lot of lag with him. You know, he hit the ground, and I mean, he's a high football IQ guy. He picks up things very quickly. And so, but that was the biggest deal. And I told him, I said, look, you got to get in there and learn it because it's not exactly the same. And so, and he did that, and he's had a great attitude and just make plays, right?
So, better question for Mario. I acknowledge this before I ask it, but the fact that players turn over all the time, but the staff is largely intact from last year, what sort of an edge can that be for a group that, by now, you all know, you all think without having to say it?
Well, I mean, what people don't want to admit about this profession a lot of times is consistency over time wins. You know, and if you keep things consistent and the schemes are solid and the people get used to working together, then, and players are the same way. You know, you have players over time running the same plays, and if they have bank reps at running the same plays, spaced repetition is how you learn things from day one. You know, you're better at tying your shoes now than you were when you were a kid because you've done it more, right? And so spaced repetition is the key. That's why my man wears Velcro. He said he can't do the tying of the knots yet. So Velcro's there for some people, you know. Some people need it.
Step-ins.
Step-ins.
Sketchers.
Yeah, I knew you were a sketcher guy, man. I can look at you and tell.
But he's great at stepping in.
Yeah, you can
It's all
step in
good.
there, you know. Do you need the little hill deal, or it just goes right in?
Oh, right in.
It goes right in? That's interesting. That makes life easy. You ain't got to worry about your back either, you know. You ain't got to bend over. Bending over is challenging at times. The more I grow in the midsection, the harder it is to bend over.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach Dawson.
Appreciate it, guys.